There is a habit that hundreds of millions of people repeat every week without a second thought: reheating leftovers, because it feels normal, familiar, and completely harmless to most families. And the truth about what happens inside four very specific foods the second time heat touches them is something that most people will go their entire lives without ever being told. Not because the information doesn't exist, but because very few people ever think to ask what reheating actually changes inside food. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which four foods are the most dangerous to reheat, what they are chemically turning into inside your body when you press that button, and why that transformation connects directly to one of the cancers with the lowest survival rates in all of modern medicine: pancreatic cancer, a disease that often remains silent until it has already reached an advanced stage, which is exactly why understanding preventable risks matters so much. When certain foods are cooked the first time, natural chemical reactions occur. The compounds produced by first-time cooking are present in amounts the body can manage, process, and eliminate. But reheating changes the equation fundamentally. The specific class of compounds we are most concerned about are N-nitroso compounds, also called nitrosamines, and heterocyclic amines. Both have been classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer as probable human carcinogens, and both connect directly to the foods I am about to name. Processed meat, specifically reheated processed meat, hot dogs, sausages, bacon, ham, deli cuts, canned meat, any meat that has been cured, smoked, preserved, or processed using nitrates and nitrites as a preservative. These foods already contain a meaningful concentration of N-nitroso compounds simply from the way they are manufactured. The nitrites used as preservatives react with the amines naturally present in meat protein during processing, producing nitrosamines before the food ever reaches your kitchen. In other words, the chemical process has already begun long before you take the first bite. When you reheat these foods, you are not starting with a clean chemical slate. You are applying heat to a food that already contains documented carcinogens, and heat accelerates nitrosamine formation. The higher the temperature and the longer the exposure, the more the reaction compounds. Processed meats contain their own built-in carcinogenic precursors. Cooking them once is already a chemical event. Reheating them at high temperatures is adding accelerant to a reaction that should never have been encouraged in the first place. Every additional heating cycle creates another opportunity for those reactions to continue. If you are going to eat these foods, and I am not telling you to never eat them once, fresh, prepared once, and never microwave them on high. And if you thought processed meat would be number one on this list, the next food may surprise you even more. Because most people reheat it specifically because they believe it is healthy. Food 2. Spinach and other nitrate-rich leafy greens. Spinach contains naturally occurring nitrates, compounds that in fresh spinach are entirely benign, and even beneficial for blood pressure and cardiovascular function. One reason many people choose spinach is because of its reputation for supporting heart and vascular health. When spinach is cooked and then allowed to cool and sit, even in the refrigerator, bacterial activity and enzymatic reactions within the cooked vegetable begin converting those nitrates into nitrites. This conversion happens continuously during storage. The longer the cooked spinach sits, the more nitrite it contains, meaning the chemical profile of the food is slowly changing even while it sits untouched in your refrigerator. When you reheat it, heat drives further nitrite formation and drives a reaction between those nitrites and the amino acids present in the spinach, producing nitrosamines. The concern is not the spinach itself. It is the combination of storage, conversion, and reheating. The same applies to celery, beetroot, kale, and carrots. Celery in particular contains extremely high concentrations of nitrates. Cook spinach and leafy greens fresh, in the quantity you will eat immediately. If you have leftover cooked spinach, eat it cold. Cold does not drive the nitrosamine forming reaction. Heat does. A small adjustment that allows you to keep the nutritional benefits without encouraging the unwanted chemical changes. But if spinach surprised you, the next food affects something most households use almost every day, and the damage continues every single time it is heated again. Food 3. Cooking oils. Specifically, reheating oils that have already been heated once. Most people understand vaguely that oil reuse is not ideal, Particularly a polyunsaturated oil like sunflower, corn, soybean, or canola is heated to cooking temperature. A process called lipid peroxidation begins. The double bonds in polyunsaturated fatty acids react with oxygen and heat, producing a cascade of oxidized compounds, aldehydes, particularly acrolein and 4-hydroxynonenal. What starts as a simple cooking process gradually changes the chemical structure of the oil itself. These compounds are genotoxic. They cause direct damage to DNA, and DNA damage is one of the earliest steps involved in the development of many forms of cancer. When that oil is reheated, or when food fried in that oil is reheated, the oxidation process continues from where it left off. Each additional exposure to heat compounds the damage. The safer approach? Do not reheat fried foods. Eat them once, fresh, immediately after cooking. If you must reheat, use an oven at moderate temperature that warms evenly, and never reuse frying oil. Food 4. Rice. And this one is different from the others in a critical way. The risk from reheated rice is not primarily carcinogenic in the same direct chemical sense as the previous three. The risk is a bacterial toxin. A bacterial toxin that is heat-resistant, meaning reheating does not destroy it, and that has documented connections to intestinal inflammation, which is itself a known risk factor for gastrointestinal cancers over long-term repeated exposure. Meaning a food that feels harmless can create problems that build quietly over time. When cooked rice is left at room temperature, a bacterium called Bacillus cereus begins to multiply. Its spores survive the original boiling process and remain dormant in the cooked grain. This bacterium produces two types of toxins. One causes vomiting within hours. The second causes diarrhea and is produced specifically during the storage phase. The critical point that most people do not know is this. When you reheat the rice, you kill the bacteria, but the toxins they have already produced are heat stable. The protocol is specific and simple. After cooking, cool rice quickly, within 1 hour, and refrigerate it. Store for no more than 24 hours. When reheating, reheat once only, to steaming hot throughout, not just warm in the center. And cook rice in smaller quantities so there is less left over. None of this requires you to stop enjoying food. It requires 4 specific habit changes. Never reheat processed meats at high temperature. Eat cooked spinach and leafy greens cold the following day rather than reheating them. Discard used cooking oil and never reheat fried foods. Cool rice quickly. Refrigerate within 1 hour and reheat once only to steaming hot. Simple habits are often the easiest to maintain, and the habits you maintain are the ones that create lasting results. That is the practical summary. Those 4 changes applied consistently to your weekly kitchen habits meaningfully reduce your exposure to the specific class of compounds that researchers and oncologists connect to the cancers with the lowest survival rates. Because protecting your health is rarely about one dramatic decision. It is usually about making better choices, one meal at a time.